Thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight to our very first episode of our show. Basically, what we do here is just we're going to talk about certain issues, current events, and things like that. We don't really know the answers to everything, but the goal here for both of us is just to try and find the answers to things. I'm here with my friend Ray, and yeah, let's just get right into it. The CDC green zones. I actually came across this today via TikTok, obviously. But did you actually look at the page?
I'm kind of looking at it. I haven't read it.
Yeah. So the thing that was, I think, the most concerning about it is obviously we've had suspicions of things about, you know, government overreach and things like that. But if you read through it in the table one summary of the shielding approach, they list like the requirements of these camps. And the first three, they have a household level, a neighborhood level, and a camp/sector level. And they talk about how, like, if it's a house level, obviously it's people just being confined to their homes. Neighborhood level is like a shelter of a household, so 5 to 10. Um, Neighbors swap households to accommodate high risk individuals. Then the camp sector level
That's not
is
right.
schools, community buildings, and camp, like camp and sectors. They say the same thing. But just looking at that, it's like just the phrase itself, neighbors swap households to accommodate high risk individuals. I mean, when you listen to a lot of people talk about their concerns with everything that's going on, like one of the things that comes up a lot is like people losing their property. Like that's the goal, is that no one is a private owner of anything. And basically what they're saying in this document is that the government can come in to your home that you own, regardless of whether or not it's on a mortgage, and straight up just say, you're going to have to switch houses with these people because they're quote unquote high risk.
But isn't that kind of saying that you're going to be with your neighbor and your wife might not be with
Yeah,
you? And
yeah, absolutely. So it's like a
yeah,
separation of the family unit as well. Um, when I looked at it also today, I'm trying to find, there was a part where they were talking about like, so the suggested prerequisites. Each green zone has dedicated latrine/bathing facility for high-risk individuals. To minimize external contact, each green zone should include able-bodied, high-risk individuals capable of caring for residents who have disabilities or are less mobile.
so the able body high risk has to take care of
Yeah,
the less mobile.
well, and disabled. So, and the thing is, like, when you say disabled, that's a very general term. I mean, that could be someone who literally just has a broken leg at the time. But if that's one of the prerequisites they can use for you to be high risk, is just being disabled. I mean, that could be someone who has severe autism. That could be someone who just, like I said, has a broken leg. There's so much leeway there. The other thing it says is, uh, no,
Well, the one of the things about that is the people have to take care of people with disabilities. That means that they have to do everything that their caretakers have before,
right.
as in wiping their butt, bathing them if they can't bathe themselves, that type of stuff too.
Well, and for instance, what if you have someone who's like fed through a tube, right?
Right.
Are these random high risk able bodied people going to get training on these things?
Probably not.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know, it's very like eerily similar to concentration camps in Nazi Germany, and I know that's like a touchy subject, but I mean the whole document just outlines, we're going to take people that we consider high risk, what the government considers high risk. We're going to isolate them and separate them from the rest of the community, the rest of society. And basically, there's no like, there's no outcome in this document. Like, there's no point where they say like, after this amount of time, these people can come back to society. And that's the other disturbing thing is like, they talk about removing individuals, isolating them in these green zones, but there's no clear like after a 3-month quarantine they can return to society. So basically, there's nothing that's preventing them from just keeping these people separate. The other thing I wanted to add was it says green zone shelters should always be kept clean. Residents should be provided with the necessary cleaning products and materials to clean their living spaces. But in all of the prerequisites listed, there's not one comment about food, medical attention, or actual infrastructure. There's nothing that talks about electricity, plumbing, running water. It's just keeping areas clean. And that's another disturbing thing for me because just like we were talking about earlier, if you have a severely disabled person that has a lot of medical needs, what's going to be in place to continue what they need medically to live? It's not
Right.
even talked about.
What's really bad for me about the article is it really just seems like they're trying to separate the weak from the strong.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like, and that's it to me.
Yeah,
What are they going to do after that?
exactly. Well, and so I went down to timeline considerations. In the second paragraph, it says, given the limited resources and healthcare available to populations in humanitarian settings prior to the pandemic, it is unlikely sufficient hospitalization capacity, beds, personal protective equipment, ventilators, and staff will be achievable during widespread transmission.
So are they just going to leave these people to die, or are they going to hospitalize them? It
I
sounds
mean,
like they're not going to hospitalize them if they get sick. That's what it seems like.
yeah, it seems like they're just going to ship them off to a camp somewhere out in the middle of nowhere, and it's going to be a community that will just have to fend for themselves, basically. And the ridiculousness of it is that you're taking, like, let's say this high risk qualifier is legitimate. You're going to take someone who's potentially infected, put them around other high risk individuals, and so it's going to spread to everyone.
It almost seems like they're doing it on purpose to kill off the high risk or weak.
Well, that's been my wondering, I guess, since this all started, is it really feels close to eugenics, euthanization, just picking out certain traits in the population to keep around, and then the rest you basically just discard. Because, I mean, you have people who have legitimate concerns about, for instance, the vaccine, and whether they're backed up or not. Again, it's the kind of thing of like, it's never been required or forced in the history of America to take any kind of vaccine, whether it was measles, polio. Like, if you didn't want to take it, that's the risk you took.
Even the flu.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, the flu shot, jury's still out on that one, but
What's crazy to me with that is the military hasn't forced them to yet. So are they keeping the military healthy by not giving them the vaccine to overtake this country?
it's possible. I mean, but at the at the same time, I've seen articles that have said that like over 50% of the military has refused the vaccine. But then there was also that statement, I think it was directly from Biden, that said by September 1st or something like that, everyone in the military needs to be vaccinated. And that's one that I'm curious about, is like how they're going to play that one out. Like, are you going to hold down service members to give them the shot. Like, I just
I
feel like
guess
that's
just push out those Article 15s.
right. Well, and they may do that too. They may just start like a mass exodus of anybody that decides not to get these things.
Yeah. Well, I know in some states the hospitals are requiring their uh,
Hmm.
medical staff to get the vaccine, and they even put out a statement saying that they're not worried about the medical staff leaving because it's been in place for 10 plus years. But
But
all of those other vaccines were FDA approved, where this one isn't.
oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Well, and that's, I mean, that's, I think, the issue for a lot of people is the fact that, I mean, if you go, I think it's the actual FDA website and look up the COVID-19 vaccine, like they specifically state clearly that this is an experimental vaccine and basically they're testing it on the population.
Which is crazy.
It
It's
is.
scary.
Because I mean, do you know like anything about the Nuremberg trials?
I do not.
So the Nuremberg trials occurred after World War II like officially ended. And basically what they specifically were for was like medical experimentation because that occurred a lot in uh, the camps. And there's a list of like 10, I don't know if you would say like rules or laws that came out of it that basically outlined like the rights of people when it comes to uh, medical experimentation. And if you go down that list, it's kind of it's weird because you're like a lot of the principles that came out of Nuremberg are being violated like right now.
Right.
And I don't really know how that would apply because I don't know if that would be considered like international law or how that would work. But even if it's international law, you know, there's other nations doing it too. So I guess that's like the curiosity for me is like it seems like laws and rights in general right now have just kind of disappeared.
Oh, in every country, not
Yeah.
only America, but I mean, you've seen what's happening in Cuba, Canada,
Hmm.
all over.
But like no one seems to have a problem with it or like talk about it. I mean, I know there's some people, but it seems like the majority of people in general don't seem like it doesn't seem to bother them.
Which is just bizarre to me. Like, what is it going to take to open their eyes?
I don't know. I've thought that for many years. Because I mean, personally, at this point in the current state of America and everything, I don't like I wouldn't say that I, you know, am a Republican or a Democrat. I feel like right now it's just like the people versus the powers that be. But there's still so many people that don't seem to have any concern about their freedoms. I mean, literally what is protected in the Constitution, no one like on both sides have any problem.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Did you watch that video, the Bill Gates one?
I believe I did.
The one where he's like,
Oh yes, yes,
the way to decrease the population is through healthcare, vaccines.
yeah, and that's it. Seems like that's what he's doing right now,
Yeah.
or not him specifically, but the world in general.
I feel like he's like part of it. The curiosity for me is like, where do you draw the line of people that are just like puppets and people that are like calling the shots?
It's the rich, the powerful.
Is it though?
I mean, I feel like you have to have money to be powerful.
Nowadays, that's for sure.
Yeah. Like the rich are the ones that are creating, in my mind, the where nothing's moving, no product is moving. They're telling these companies not to move it.
Yeah.
So they're the ones that are powerful within the world.
And I feel like it also plays into like, I'm sure you've seen it, but like on the major news networks, they're like, oh, companies are just hurting for employees right now. But it's like no one's hiring anyone. I mean, even I've experienced that where like you can get to a certain point in the interview process, and at a lot of occasions, like they just disappear.
Yeah.
Like the employer, you're at the third stage of the interview process, and then you just never hear from them again.
You
You
never
don't
hear
even,
from them, or they're just like, oh, we're done.
yeah.
We no longer want you.
And it's like if you say you're hurting for people, but I know there's a ton of people looking for work and nothing seems to be moving. It's I think it's the strangest thing that like we opened up the country again, but it seems like nothing changed. Like the gears didn't start moving again in our society.
Right. We're still stagnant.
Yeah. We just don't have to wear masks now.
Well, that'll be, I bet we are wearing masks before September.
Oh, I agree. There's gonna be a huge influx. And they're gonna say, oh, we tried it. We tried it and look what happened.
Yep.
Lockdown.
And that's where the Delta variant is coming in play.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like it's so curious to me because I keep seeing things, whether it's on TikTok, and I know that's, not a very credible source, but where they talk about that there's like criminal probes into Fauci about his involvement in the Wuhan lab and all that. But then it makes me wonder, like, did the Wuhan lab just go back to work and release another Delta variant? You know?
Right. Or
Well, not
another lab that they're still funding.
yeah, because I remember like my mom used to always say, if you ever want to know like the source of something, just follow the money.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have all the answers just by doing that.
But nothing's going to change, even though we have the answers.
Yeah, I think that's the most frustrating thing. Because it doesn't like, I mean, it's like we've talked about before, is like what are you supposed to do? You have all these, you have all this information, but like what are you gonna change?
Well,
Nothing.
and that's the thing with it is we can't change it ourselves, but in a whole, we can. But the government has America so divided, we can't do that as a whole. We cannot change
You
it.
That actually made me think. Have you seen? I gotta try to look it up. It's like the 14 steps to like communism or something like that. 10 steps to successful communication. That's not what I'm looking for. The 10 steps to successful communication. So basically it's like I don't know how to describe it. It's like
The
I mean it's
planks
obvious.
of the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto.
No, I may have actually found it. It says 8 steps to communism.
Oh,
And this was
abolish I can't say that word.
abolish
Abolition.
abolition.
Abolition. Thank you.
Yeah.
Of property and land and application of all rents of land and public purpose.
Yeah.
I feel like they're doing that.
Yeah. Well, here's another thing that's like I'll blow your mind right now, bro. So Saul Alinsky, I think he was active in like the 70s or something like that. But he's like, I guess you would say like a godfather of like socialism in America or communism, whatever. I don't want to hurt people's feelings, but basically, like his whole goal was to overthrow America as like what it was at the time, which in the 60s and 70s, like it still was pretty conservative and things like that. But he wrote 8 Steps to Communism, right? Um, and this is an article from uh, Mining Gazette. I don't know if that's a credible source, but I've seen this before. The 8 levels of controls by Saul Alinsky to transform a nation through socialism into communism. Number 1, healthcare. Control healthcare and you control the people. I mean, I feel like that's already kind of happened.
Oh, it is. Especially you got that in well, they're doing it with the vaccines. They're trying to force the vaccines on you.
Mhm.
They're trying to separate the healthy from the weak because the weak won't be able to be hospitalized.
Yeah.
So they're controlling it.
Well, and to add to that, think about how when COVID started, the control that the healthcare system had to prevent people from like being there when a loved one died. Like they wouldn't even let people come in and say goodbye.
Right.
So they obviously have major control. Number 2, poverty. This is a big one for me. Increase the poverty level as high as possible. Poor people are easier to control and will not fight back if you provide everything for them to live. What's happening right now? Unemployment's
Stimulus
at the highest.
checks.
Yeah, stimulus checks. Unemployment's at the highest. People can't find work. You have food prices, gas prices, lumber, everything has skyrocketed. People can't survive. So that's happened.
Correct.
Number 3, debt. Increase the debt level to an unsustainable level. That way you are able to increase taxes and this will produce more poverty. That's already been, I mean, it hasn't fully been done yet, but it's already in the process. I saw, I think it was either today or yesterday, that the new proposal from the Biden administration, like it's like a, they call it like a financial or a economy recovery plan. Like they always like to call it that way. And when you look at the actual taxes in it, it'll cripple all of us.
Oh
Like that,
yeah.
like they always hide it behind like, oh, we're going after the rich, but it affects all of us. And it would increase our taxes to the point that no one's going to be able to pay rent, their
Their house
mortgage,
payment. Right.
car loans, nothing.
So then they'll come in and say, hey, I'm gonna have this. This is
Mhm.
mine, but I'm gonna still let you live here.
Yeah. And effectively they own you basically.
Yes.
Number 4, gun control. Remove the ability to defend themselves from government. That way you are able to create a police state. So obviously this one is kind of there, but as we were talking about earlier, it's interesting to me because you also have other states that are like going the opposite way. I think it was it Missouri? It was a random state where they passed that bill that like they will not assist any like federal agents in gun control in
Uh,
this
it was either
state.
Missouri, Minnesota, somewhere over there.
Yeah. So that one's kind of interesting because you have some states that are totally buying into that and some states that are like, nah, we're gonna go completely the other way. Number 5. This is a big one too. Welfare. Take control of every aspect, food, housing, income of their lives, because that will make them fully dependent on the government. We basically address that in 2 and 3. That's already happening. You got Section 8, you got food stamps, you got legitimate welfare. I mean, there's people who haven't worked a day in their life.
That's correct. The Social
Um,
Security, disability, all that stuff.
yeah.
Which I know a lot of it is needed, but some they lie about it.
Well, and that's what pisses me off is there's people out there that genuinely need that money because they just can't work,
Yes.
and you've got people who um, are just lying about it. And the frustrating thing is, I knew a guy. He had a really disabled son, and he was audited like 3 times for Social Security, but it was legitimate. And
And
you
then
know
you
for a fact these other people are not getting audited.
right, the people that they're probably working under the table
Hmm.
as well as getting their disability.
Yeah. So then number 6, this is another big one. Education. Take control of what people read and listen to, and take control or what children learn in school. We're already seeing that with critical race theory.
Well, I think they're doing that with everything in history books and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Well, it's just like my wife. Like I had to give her basically a history lesson on like the Civil War because they didn't teach any of it when she went to high school. And it's like that's kind of a big deal in American history, you know, kind of change things.
Oh, they're leaving out a lot of stuff out of the history books.
Yeah. And then number 7, religion. Remove belief in God from the government and schools because the people need to believe in only the government, knowing what is best for the people.
And they're doing
Again,
that.
I was going to say again, like just look outside. You don't have to even try that one because I mean, they've wanted to remove in God we trust from the dollar bill.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even if you don't believe in God, it's just like it's American. That's just what's on there. And this is the big one for me because this is the last one is number 8. Um, and this, like, all you have to do is look back to last year. Number 8 is class warfare. Divide the people into the wealthy and poor. Eliminate the middle class. And I feel like when I was younger, I never really like thought about it, but you would always hear like certain politicians and you know talking heads about the war on the middle class. And it wasn't until I became an adult and started working that I realized that there's like legitimacy to that claim because you we're getting to the point in America, I feel like, where you're either extremely wealthy and then there's everyone else.
Right. There's no in between.
Yeah, we're already seeing that like distance. And still, it's hilarious to me because you have these people that scream and cry about tax the rich, go after the rich. But then you got people like Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates.
Well, the thing about taxing the rich is they need to tax the rich. There are so many loopholes that gets them out of the taxes.
Yeah.
So they don't have to pay the taxes. So that falls back on the poor.
Yep. On top of that, I would also say that taxing the rich, like when you hear that, they're not talking about crippling and taxing the ultra wealthy. So Zuckerberg, Bezos, the billionaires. They're talking about taxing the small business owner, the guy that runs a plumbing business in his hometown, the guy that's worth maybe $1 million. That's what they perceive as the wealthy. So I would even say that you have like a 3-class system where you have the uber wealthy that are just untouchable now. They're above the law, they're above everything else. You have the semi wealthy that actually provide the jobs and the infrastructure. And then you have the poor. So I guess you would say the semi wealthy are your middle class. Zing. And then it just closes out with this will cause more discontent and it will be easier to tax the wealthy with the support of the poor. It should be clear to all how our nation is well on its way to winning its race to the bottom. Is it our public servants in both political parties who are constitution despising oath breakers or we the people who vote and re-vote them in office to sell us out. That was by the dude who
Well,
wrote the article.
if the votes were legit,
Legitimate. Yeah,
there's that.
the side note there.
Can't vote them if all those dead people are voting. But that's
Yeah.
beside the point.
I'm pretty sure my vote wasn't even counted in the last election. I
Oh,
voted for
it was counted twice
yeah, but not
to
who I
the,
voted for.
to the wrong party.
Right. And I just want everyone to know I did vote for Biden in the last election. So
Yeah,
we're clear on that one.
I'm glad. I'm glad I could be friends with you.
Me too. It's just crazy. I mean, everything I read, it's just like it's crazy. It's just absolute insanity.
Well, it has to be these people that are. It's the rich for sure, but they're pushing the government and whatnot, and these big companies, the shipping companies, not to move the product to cripple the country.
Yeah. What's like, why has no one ever asked the question why people like, I know I keep saying these names, but people like Gates and Bezos and Zuckerberg, why are they always such strong opponents of these huge high tax rates? You would think if it actually legitimately would affect them, that any person in their right mind would be like, yeah, I'm not too okay with this. But never once do they ever say that, like, oh yeah, let's do that. That's a great idea. And there's a reason for that. It's like in the
Because
newspaper
the
today.
loopholes.
Yeah. Was in the newspaper, it was like Bezos just donated 10 million to a charity. Yeah, that's a tax write-off.
Yep, exactly.
That's free money now. As his employees can't take a bathroom break.
At Amazon. I mean, I didn't say that.
Say what?
Nothing.
Stop.
Stop it.
I just don't know. What are you supposed to do? Did you see
Move into the fucking wilderness and live by yourself.
yeah, but now they're even going after that.
Yeah,
Did
you can't collect your own brain.
well, not only that, did you see that document that DHS came out with? It was about how to like subdue people in rural areas. And then they go through what like constitutes an extremist. And one of the things in there was people like basically people who live off grid are considered extremists now.
Really?
Yeah, because they're considered to like hate the government. So they want to be outsiders kind of thing. And I'm just like, that's I feel like everyone's an extremist now of some kind.
They want to be outsiders because they're tired of the government controlling every aspect of their life.
Yes, but let's be fair. I'm also just tired of people in general.
That's true. That is true.
So it'd be nice to just not ever have to.
It's it's draining with
Yeah,
everything that's going on right now.
absolutely. You want a $1.3 million house? That's
Uh
3 bedrooms.
sure. Is Bezos gonna give it to me?
Probably. He's gonna show up in his penis rocket ship.
I'll just tear it apart and sell the wood.
Right? Then you would be the next Jeff Bezos.
Exactly.
Have you looked at
Get
houses
it.
lately?
Yes.
I don't know how it is in your area, but there's straight up houses that just genuinely look like a cracked in, right? And they still want like 600,000 for them.
Oh, it's ridiculous. One bedroom, one bath, fucking 800 square feet, and they want
Right?
400,000 for it. And it's like,
It's
what?
like, it's literally like a shack. My favorite is when you look through the description and it's like slight work needed. This is a great home for a house flipper. And then like in very small print, it's like potential tear down.
Right. Needs a
Like,
whole new frame and roof and foundation and
yeah, I'm gonna invest in that, bro.
yeah, you get the property.
That's true. Until you have to give it up for high risk individuals.
Yeah, there's that
So
for con- the tents. I'll just say that.
the tents. Have you seen that picture where it shows like a tent on the side of the road and it's like for sale, 350,000?
Yeah.
It's pretty accurate.
I don't know if I've seen that specific one, but along the same lines.
Yeah, but that's a
Or a
that's how it,
cardboard box.
yeah, for sale. Huge potential. Like some of these, I'm on Zillow right now, but like one of these was a manufactured home and I pulled it up and like there's two, okay, I'm sorry, there's three interior pictures. And in all three pictures, the carpet looks like they didn't even like use a toilet. They just pissed on the floor. And they still want 103,000 for 1,200 square feet.
No, that's wrong.
I was talking to a coworker and we came to the conclusion that we believe that the housing market has been artificially inflated
Oh yeah.
just because they can do that.
Well, yeah. And that is another thing with not letting products move. Everything is inflating, as in wood is not being moved, so the housing market is going to inflate. Chips are not being moved, so the vehicle market is going to inflate. And it will crash, but it's just a matter of letting it everything be available and move.
I guess I've just never understood that. Like, why would you want to cripple your nation? Like, if you were a leader.
One world power.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the obvious answer. It's so like foreign to me. Like, I'm gonna burn my house down because someone else doesn't have a house. Because there's homeless people.
Maybe we should all just live in the same building.
Do the like what is that called? Like a not a convent.
Like that
What
one city that's in the same like apartment complex. The whole city is.
seriously?
Yeah, you haven't seen that?
No. What is that?
Yeah, I don't know how many people. I'd have to look it up again.
Property's cheap in Canada
Oh, I wonder why. It's in Whittier, Alaska.
though. Oh, well, that makes sense. It's Alaska, dude.
14-story building and 200 residents live there.
That's the whole city.
It says most of the town city.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah. So I guess it's not that big, but that's still crazy.
Yeah, but still, it'd be weird just to know everyone in your whole city.
Oh, hi
What's
guys.
up? What's up, dude? So what are we supposed to do? You have the
Fun.
answers.
Move.
I really want to.
Go live in the ocean.
Is that, can we do that?
I mean, sure.
I'm there.
You'll probably get torpedoed, but
By the Chinese. Did you hear about people are saying that there's a bunch of Chinese freight ships just chilling out on our coastline?
yeah. And then I actually, again, this is a stupid place to get your information, but TikTok, they actually made me think about it. And those Chinese ships, I mean, it kind of makes sense having missiles on them, even though
Dude,
they're not battleships.
I totally agree. It's either that or they're like staging equipment.
Right.
because some people have said, again, TikTok, but that like if you're gonna invade a country, one of the most difficult things is logistically getting your shit there, right?
Yeah.
So they said that like all the freight ships are just full of tanks and guns and ammunition, all that. But someone also said, and this is I thought was very interesting, that they believed what was going to happen is when society collapses here in America because of the economy collapsing, obviously there's probably going to be some unrest, right?
Right.
And so they said that what they think is going to happen is that basically our government is going to beg for support from the UN, who will bring peacekeepers here to get things back under control. So the freight ships could be in preparation for that.
That could be true too, but I would like to think that there's missiles on it for some reason.
That's great for those of us in the coastal areas.
Oh, you have fun with that.
Just a bright flash of light,
You will be missed.
and then I'm going home. Um, so what's this thing about the California gun laws?
I do not have it pulled up right now.
Oh, gun laws barring sales to people under 21 are unconstitutional.
Right. And I think a lot of Californians are starting to realize that a lot of what they're doing is unconstitutional. Actually, I believe I'm not 100% on this, but I feel like I read that the magazine size they came out with that was unconstitutional. You know how they had like I think it was 5 or 10 rounds or less.
Yeah, I was like, yeah.
And I believe I'm almost positive that I read that they came out with that was unconstitutional also.
I wonder how they got that. I mean, I don't disagree.
I feel like it was a thing forever in California though. And they just decided to make the Supreme Court just decided that it was unconstitutional.
That's fair. My question is like, do Supreme Court rulings really mean anything?
I feel like they used to.
Right? Because it's like you read about it that the Supreme Court came out and said this thing, and then like nothing happens.
I want to say that it takes away that law from that state, but I can't tell you for sure if it does or I'm not 100% sure how that works.
Yeah. I've always wondered like what exactly is it that the Supreme Court actually does? Like what is your job here? What do you do?
I mean, what does anybody in the government do?
It's fair. It's very, very fair.
They're all puppets of someone. The rich.
I even think the rich are puppets, dude.
Of what are those people called under the earth?
The lizard
Yeah.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
puppets of the lizard people.
So
Actually, Zuckerberg is a lizard person, okay?
well, I mean, yeah. You
That's
can't
given.
not say that. Do you think that flat earthers believe in the hollow earth theory?
I mean, I don't know. Because if the earth was flat, it wouldn't be
Yeah,
able to
like
be
could you
hollow.
be hollow? That's the other thing is like flat earthers, because that's a favorite of mine. They basically are saying that we're like a frisbee floating through space, right?
Right.
What's on the bottom side?
Dirt.
Is it just rock?
Hey, maybe it's the other side of the world.
Ooh.
It just
So,
flips over.
so it's like a globe?
No, it's flat on both sides. So it's like a CD. There's just
Oh, I see what you're saying.
buildings on either side of it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Or I guess buildings, but civilization on both sides
I
of it.
was gonna say buildings. The earth is made out of buildings.
Very specific.
I feel like we should interview a flat earther and present him with that or her. Let's be inclusive here. Because I'd be really awfully curious. Because like I've watched a lot of flat earther videos, and no one like brings that up. Like what's on the bottom then?
Yeah, and then I've heard people say that it's like a donut
Really?
with the hole in the middle. Yeah,
Donuts sound good right now.
they do. It's very true. Maybe I'll go get donuts in the morning.
Would you ever travel to space?
Would I? Yes.
When I don't mean just like outside the atmosphere. I mean like
No, I'm not gonna pull a Jeff Bezos.
you're not gonna fly in your penis, penetrate, and then come back.
Yeah.
I bet you he never called her back.
Probably not. He didn't even take her on a date first.
No, he just went straight in there, man.
Yeah.
Would you do like deep space travel?
It depends on how much time I lost.
Ooh, that's a good point. Okay, let me put it this way. If you had no connections to anyone on Earth,
Yes.
you totally would.
Oh yeah.
What do you think's out there?
Ghosts.
What if?
Speaking of which,
Oh
so
yeah. Yeah.
earlier, I know I'm sure I'm seeing stuff, but I was sitting on the toilet going to the bathroom.
Oh, that's what
And
you do when you're on the toilet?
right. And the there's lights over the sink to
Okay.
my right. And then there's one light basically right above me.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there staring at TikTok because that's what you do on the toilet.
Yep.
And the light to the right of me, where the sink is, got dark, like a shadow was over it.
Did you see like a
No, when I
figure?
looked up, it was light again.
What?
Yeah, it was bizarre. So it was like something was shadowing the light, but when I look up, it was just light.
Maybe it's a brain tumor.
Maybe it could be. I mean, I feel like I see shadow people down my hallway all the time, but
Oh yeah. Like it's like that video where it's like, when you're gaming, do you ever just and it shows like a figure running past the doorway?
Oh yeah.
I see that all the time.
And having kids, you think it's your kids, but they should be in bed. They are in bed. Get up,
Yeah.
look around, and there's everybody's in bed.
That's the worst is when you hear like rustling. So you think like just one of the kids like woke up. But then you walk in there and they're all just like passed out.
Oh man, that is. I've had some stuff happen in my place of living.
Bro. Right when we said that, I just heard like a baby cry outside.
Oh, that's good. I mean, I'm sure
What the frick, dude?
I have both headphones on. Can't hear anything.
Yeah, I took one off because I thought I heard someone like banging on the wall.
Oh
Now
no,
I
that
didn't
was just
notice.
me.
I'm here. He's here. Well, have you noticed on TikTok there's like an increase of like the creepy TikTok videos?
Yes, I have a hard time believing some stuff on TikTok.
Oh, absolutely.
Uh,
Some of them look fake as hell.
oh yeah, it looks so scripted. But some of it's like, okay, that's it's a little freaky. Like I don't know how they could have pulled that off, but
The other one for me is there seems to be an increase of like the screaming in the woods videos.
oh,
Like,
Wendigos,
yeah, Wendangos.
skinwalkers,
Wendangos.
Wendigos.
It's just like, I don't know. I feel like shit's about to pop off.
So
I'm not just saying
the
like
the rich and the
human people.
the rich
pop
and the
out.
powerful decided that they were going to put out a virus that was going to take out almost the whole country, world, whatever it is. And it didn't work, so they released the Wendigos.
They released the demons. They're here. Well, it's like Alex Jones, right? I feel like he's a little bit more credible now because like 95% of the stuff he said back in the day came true. But he always had the theory, and I tend to agree with this, that like when it comes to like aliens and stuff, he believes they're basically like demons, so different beings from a different dimension, right? If you ever want to see something very odd, that just you watch it and you kind of go like, why did this happen? Look up, it was an opening ceremony for some, I think it was just a train tunnel in Switzerland. And the whole like it's not a play, but like the whole ceremony was super fucking weird. Super weird. And you're just watching it and you're like, what does this have to do with trains or a tunnel? And then you start looking into have you heard of CERN? Do you know what CERN is?
I can't say I do for sure.
So CERN, maybe I have the wrong thing, but I think I could totally have this wrong. But I think CERN is the facility where they like found the God particle, where it's just like basically the whole facility is like a particle accelerator. Don't ask me what any of that means because I don't really understand. But there was I don't know if he's like a lead scientist or just a scientist that worked there, but he said that what they're trying to accomplish now, their like main mission, is to open a window to another dimension.
I think we've already been there.
I do too. But you hear about that, right?
And the particle is called Higgs boson.
Yeah,
BOSON.
they also called it the God particle.
That's how I found it.
Yeah. But you have them like saying stuff like that, and then you have people posting videos about creepy otherworldly things. It feels like everything's connected in a way.
I think it is.
I don't know what to do
We
anymore.
just don't know. We're too poor to know.
Right. We need to have the money, dude. Let's call up Elon Musk.
We can't have money though. We will always be poor. They won't let us get rich.
One day, dude. Would you want to live in the future or the past?
Past.
What era?
Ooh, that's a hard one for me. Probably the 60s, 70s.
I agree.
I just feel like life was simple then.
Yeah, you just like got a job, bought a house,
Worked, died.
got cancer.
I don't know. Did they really get that much cancer back in the day?
No, just because I don't think they like diagnosed it.
Oh, there is that.
Just because everyone smoked, so I was like, whatever. What the fuck?
Ghosts, demons, shadow people.
All right, man. Well,
This was
a good first foray into this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If anybody tunes in and listens, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, make sure to comment what you guys think about what we had to say.
Yeah, don't expect us to respond though.
We may or may not. Who knows?
Right. All right. Everyone have a good night.